Hello, my wonderful, beautiful broskis, the most beautiful broskis of the most beautiful Maverick Nation. I'm the Dark Shadow Maverick, the Dark Shadow Maverick, and this is 230 subscriber special video. A new series I'm starting called I Like A, in which I'll basically be in the world of MAJ as a sibling of Izuku. Though we will not be the only two that are, well, siblings. He will have several other siblings. Me being the oldest, and Izuku being the youngest. Basically, if you're going oldest to youngest, I was born first. And basically after that, you got Ichigo. Just a little after me. And, well, basically at the same time as Ichigo, you have Luffy. So basically they were born at the same time. And same thing with the next two kids, being Naruto and Asta. And then after that, the final kid, Izuku Midoriya. Funny thing is, all of those kids have quirks except for Izuku. And the thing is, my quirk might as well be considered the most villainous quirk in all of history, besides, freaking Awful One. My quirk straight up makes me seem unhuman as hell. Basically, we all have first names and middle names. Izuku, well, he's just known as straight up Izuku Midoriya. And, well, as for, well, next, whenever we consider older, Asta and Naruto. Asta basically is Asta, Grimoire, Midoriya. Grimoire as in, like, a reference to Grimoire. So Asta, Grimoire, and Midoriya. And Naruto's thing is basically, he actually has two middle names. Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki Midoriya. And, well, as for Ichigo and Luffy, Ichigo's is Ichigo Kurosaki Midoriya, and Luffy's is actually Monkey D. Luffy Midoriya. Only most people would call him Luffy instead of Monkey D. Luffy. And, well, mine is, well, I actually gave my character a fan name for the story. It's actually kind of based off the character of Toshiro Hitsugaya. My character's name is also kind of based off of some Hellsing stuff. Basically, my character is, well, Tenshiro Alucard Midoriya. Yes, Tenshiro Alucard Midoriya. And that actually makes more sense once you actually get to know my quirk. And basically all that it does. And, well, going from all of us, eventually, once, everything is said and done, of course you have all the canon scenes of everything happening, well, as it does. For those of you wondering what that was in the background there. Basically, that was Helsing OST Raid Track 8, PS Lord Amitabh Have Mercy on Me from, 2001 Helsing, not Ultimate, 2001 Helsing. So, yeah. But, it makes sense to play that in the background, considering, my character is basically the oldest, and Izuku, the supposed to be the protagonist, is the youngest. And out of the ultimate tracks besides Alucard's theme and the theme of the opening, the two other tracks that I love the most are that and the track as Original Sin. Yeah, basically this that just played and the other one known as Original Sin, plus the opening theme and Alucard's theme, plus if you're counting Ultimate as well, Monster of God. All of those are really good. So, yeah. I actually prefer Original Sin over this one right here, but I have my reasons, so yeah. On to the story. Anyways, well, we actually get to the day of, the Quirk Doctor thing. With Izuku being, pretty excited, getting up all bright eyed and bushy tailed, you know. And well, with Uncle Ishin, seeing as, Hisashi's the dad, so can't really have Ishin be Ichigo's father. So I'm having him be his uncle instead. Basically, Uncle Ishin being over and, trying to surprise Ichigo, and Ichigo kicking him flat on his ass. And being like, really, Dad? I just want to figure out my damn quirk and, be over with this. Shit. Ichigo is really not having this right now. I mean, he still has to go to school. So does everybody else. So, yeah. And he's still pretty bummed out regardless. So he's not really having, his Uncle Ishin's shit. And, well, basically, if you thought that was all, no, that was not all. Basically, Luffy deciding that being a rubber man himself, well, as far as he knows, he will decide to play a prank on me to wake me up. And, tell me about the fact that, Uncle Ishin wouldn't be the only uncle coming around. Then also, Uncle Shanks would be the one coming around as well. And also, Uncle Ace. Yeah, Uncle Shanks and Uncle Ace would be coming around. And I'd just be like, Luffy, don't you? And Luffy would just be like, Gumma Gumma no Bazooka! And just be like, catapult himself towards my head, and I'd be just like, screw you. And I just, like, friggin' fireman's carries him off the bed and onto the ground. And Luffy would just be like, ah, ow, that hurt. And I'd just be like, well, if that doesn't tell you already what his quirk is, I don't freaking know what will. Damn it. Yeah, I'm not a morning person IRL, and so my character is not going to be a morning person in this story. My character of, you know, Tenshiro Alucard Tenshiro Alucard Midoriya. And for those of you that are wondering, it's spelled Tenshiro. Tenshiro. Just for those of you that might have been wondering. And well, basically after that debacle, you basically have Asta and Naruto, well, fighting to see who can, get downstairs faster. You know, morning rituals and all. Basically, everything's a competition in between those two. Luffy and, Ichigo don't seem to really care. But Naruto and Asta, that's a whole different story. Everything's a damn competition. And so Uncle Minato and Aunt, Kushina, coming around. But actually, considering Jiraiya and Tsunade were his godparents, I'm gonna say, you know, like uncles from his mother's side and uncles from his father's side, that the uncles from, his mother's side would be his Uncle Minato and Aunt, Kushina. And his uncle from his father's, uncle and an uncle from his father's side would be his, Uncle Jiraiya and Aunt Tsunade. We're all coming around just for this special occasion. And so Naruto's really happy. But since they're family connected, they're also technically Asta's aunts and uncles as well. Seeing as I'm not really all that well informed on Asta's, parentage, I'm gonna have it be that way. So, yeah. And as for, well, Izuku, well, Izuku's family is right here. In the here and now. Currently all around him. However, he welcomes, extra company. I mean, he likes his aunts and uncles. Oh, and he also has, an Uncle Sabo. Whenever connected to Luffy. You know, Uncle Sabo. Because don't think, guys, don't think that I forgot Sabo. I did for a little bit there, but then I remembered. Sabo. Yeah, they have an Uncle Sabo. Along with his Uncle Shanks and Uncle Ace. And so, yeah, that. And so basically, whenever everyone's getting their quirk examined, well, I'm up first apparently since I'm the oldest. And well, the doctor, to say they're straight up terrified of my quirk would be like the understatement of the frickin' like all of time. Because my quirk just straight up makes me look out to be like a freaking vampire. And then I'm like, dude, look at my look at my middle name. And then, the doctor actually starts to realize that my middle name is actually just Dracula backwards. And then faints. They have to get a new doctor. And they actually realize that the, original doctor is pale as frick, while also being unconscious. And has a look on his face like he just saw freaking like the devil. But even worse than the devil. And so yeah, basically the rules to Will Alucard's powers. My base power set is well, I can turn into mist, I can turn into bats. I heal pretty quickly. From even like the most serious of injuries, I can heal pretty quick. Heal pretty quickly, if not like automatically. It's almost like the crazier the injury, the faster I heal from it. And will also, blood helps with that as well. Drinking blood. Yeah, I drink blood. Yeah, it's almost like, I can eat normal food, but it's not as filling as, drinking blood, which, sometime eventually I'm going to have to do. And basically, upon, having someone's consent, I can turn them into a vampire by drinking their blood. If they're like currently in a state where they're dying or like close to death, I can like pump adrenaline into them, like pump like doing the Heimlich, bring them back like some like shit like electrocution, like bring them back for a certain amount of time to basically ask them for their consent and like me doing this to them. Because otherwise they'll just turn into ghouls, mindless ghouls for me to control. Yeah, otherwise, if they don't give me their consent, they just turn into ghouls for me to control. Because that's basically how things in Helsing involving that went. If they don't give the consent, they just turn into ghouls. If you do that to them. So yeah, that's basically on the part of that. Or I can just drink their blood like normally. And they become part of my familia. And like the more of this I do, like the stronger my powers like summoning familia I can do. And even have like stronger abilities to like tap into more of my release strengths. All the way from 6 to like 1 and even to like possible level 0 if I wanted to like destroy the world or something. Like that, like akin to that. And I can even like teleport. I can like even like speak to people telepathically. I can even like do Jedi mind tricks to people, like suggestive messages to control their heads. Like basically tell them what to do or what to say. However, I do have an aversion to sunlight. Like Dude, do you see how pale I am? Like IRL, how pale I am in these videos? Because I'm hoping like the lighting doesn't really, affect that so that you guys can literally see how pale I am. I do not go in the sun out like that much at all. So I am pale as fuck. And well, don't act like this isn't noticed in like this. So yeah, basically that's explained. You know, I have a huge aversion to sunlight, but it's not really that hurts me directly, but it's more like an uncomfortable sensation, that I, can't seem to really stand at all. It's just really like really uncomfortable. I mean, it can hurt me, but like that's only if like direct contact with like a lot of sunlight. Like I have to be like out in the middle of like a summer day. But like if it's just like a little sunlight, or not that much sunlight and it's not that strong of like a day of sun or whatever, I'll be mostly fine. Like if it's just an average day, I should be, relatively fine, uncomfortable, but besides that, relatively fine. And as for like silver and holy weapons, and even like blessed blades and blessed bullets, yeah, not going anywhere towards that. Though the stronger I become through whatever methods, the more of a resistance I'll be able to build up to that. All those things. And even holy water and running water, because if you don't remember in the Hammer, horror like Dracula movies, yeah, running water was a problem for Dracula. And even like certain like thorn bush type things were like a no for Dracula. And so I would also have an aversion towards like that shit. Yeah, so I wouldn't really, get into like a bathtub while the water was still running, only after it had stopped running. Because if I get into it while it's still running, that's gonna be a lot of bad. So yeah, no sunlight, no silver or holy anything, and no running water or well, holy water or any sort of like thorn bush type thing, and also no stakes or burning at the stake or being stoned or stoned at the stake or any sort of dagger or knife. Yeah, that shit is hella uncomfortable. Like more down the line is like stuff I'd be able to withstand more, but as long as didn't get close to any like hella vital areas, but most of it I'd be able to probably withstand, but it would still hurt like a bitch. So yeah, I basically have a lot of endurance, more than certain normal humans to certain things, but it's still very uncomfortable, and pisses me off. So yeah, just certain things are a no for me. However, amongst my other abilities, I can seem to summon freaking hellhounds. And even summon like avatars of like people like freaking drinking their blood. and even like weapons of theirs that I can use for my own purposes. And even absorb other people's abilities through said transfer of my own, choosing, but mostly blood related. And I can even fly and pull shit towards me or away from me using, like, ghost tendril like things that I can, like, psychokinetically, like, pull shit and pull shit away. Just like all that crazy shit that happened whenever Alucard was pulling himself towards London, like pulling the entire ship towards London. So, yeah. And I can also survive fire, though it is also very uncomfortable. And also explosions, though that's also very uncomfortable. Because, again, I can regenerate. And, the stronger, like, the thing that, hurt me, the faster I regenerate. Though it also helps to have, blood around so I can, help the regenerating process go a lot smoother. And also, I have several rows of teeth. Like several, like a freaking shark. And I can even, like, turn on and off, like, certain, like, red eye things. Like my red eyes. I can turn that shit on and off whenever I want. So yeah, basically, I call my quirk Helsing. And yeah, well, seeing as my name's already Tenshiro Alucard Midoriya, I mean, god dang. Literally the no life prince, the bird of Hermes. Dude's literally that, and, that's my middle name. So yeah, what more proof do you need? I'm pretty much a freaking, like, my hero, version of a freaking vampire. Like, full blooded. Or at least close to, because, the Midoriya thing. So, yeah. And, well, Luffy and Ichigo, well. Luffy's quirk seems to have, involved something that Inko had digested at the time of being pregnant with, Luffy and Ichigo. And this seems to have given Luffy some sort of quirk mutation as to where he, basically, Rubber Man. So yeah, basically he has like Gomu no powers or like Gomu Gomu, whatever the shit. And Ichigo seems to have not gotten that into the stick, though he has seemed to have gotten into the stick that involved, well, spiritual powers. Because apparently, having a long line of family gives you a long line of, like, spiritual entities to draw power from. And this, quirk simply being known as Zangetsu, or, Luffy's is known as, well, Gomu Gomu no Mi, or Gomu Gomu no Mai, whatever the frick. I think it's Gomu Gomu no Mi. Yeah, basically that's the name of his quirk. And Ichigo's quirk is called Zangetsu. And basically, it's a sword thing that acts like sort of like, Dark Shadow, as, it's kind of like an avatar of something. though most people can't see, Zangetsu, in its like avatar like form. Though Zangetsu has technically two avatar like forms, and they seem to like to fight for control over what Ichigo will decide to do. And Ichigo doesn't seem to really like to side with either of them, making it really hard to, make any decision, really, for his own self. So yeah, no wonder why he's so grumpy. He's constantly having to fight for control over his own decisions and his own mind. Over two sides of the same damn quirk that he has. That apparently involves this damn sword that he has. That apparently now that he is, known the name of, it can become like a freaking giant ass butter knife of death sword. Once he calls upon the name, Zangetsu. And apparently there's even more shit involved, but that's apparently for a later date, seeing as, he needs to know more about his sword in order to know more about, and have more about, that, sword's power. And he goes like, just like, I haven't really heard about such a reluctant quirk to be used. And, both Zangetsu's kind of just telling them that's that kind of like how their shit works. Just, gotta have more experience in order to actually, well, get their shit and, be able to do their shit. Of course, what they're talking about is like the Getsuga Tensho and eventually, the Bankai Tensa Zangetsu. Even though that isn't really the true Bankai, but whatever. Basically, yeah, that's that. And as for, well, Asta and Naruto, well, Asta's, quirk is called, well, Grimoire, and, well, it's not really that, it's actually called Anti-Magic Grimoire, and, well, it seems to work like magic, but like the reverse of it, which is why it's called Anti-Magic Grimoire. And, it seems to revolve a lot around swords. And, like, a lot of them. And they don't really seem to be the usual type of sword. Well, not all of them, at least. But Asta seems to be fine with that. And Naruto's, quirk is basically, a sentient quirk called, Kurama. And basically, just like, Ichigo with his quirk Zangetsu, Naruto's constantly having to fight for control over, his quirk Kurama. You know, the more and more power he wants to draw, the more and more stages, like the first tail stage, the second tail stage, you know, the more and more power he wants to draw out, the more and more control he has to fight for. And this quirk makes Naruto hella down bad if he does not have that amount of, tact to be able to control that shit without, destroying himself completely. Yeah, basically a hella destructive quirk, if you know what I mean. For both him and his enemies. So, yeah. After that, well, you basically have Izuku. Which, sadly, like in canon, is told that he does not have a quirk. Though, like in canon, Izuku regardless, decides to, be a hero. And even after, the whole experience with the sludge villain, well, whenever he sees that Bakugo's in danger, he can't just help himself but, to help out Bakugo. And basically, the sludge villain, just sucks, Izuku up into Bakugo as, another explosion is fired, basically killing Izuku. And basically, after this happens, All Might does his smash thing, and will that ejects Bakugo from the sludge villain, and the sludge villain is basically sent into pieces. And the weather changes. However, me seeing this along with, my other siblings, seeing this, well, basically, I go off with, Izuku saying that, oh, well, me and, Izuku will just have to, have a little talk. And so I'm basically, alone with Izuku, having realized something that the others didn't realize. That explosion killed him. Or, well, seems to have momentarily done so. And so I basically have to, bring him back from, the brink, shortly, and ask for his consent. Because what I'm about to do, I really don't want to do, but, it seems to be the only way. And, through this, he even, might get some power. And so, well, Izuku, does give me the consent because, he can sense exactly what I'm sensing, that, he doesn't have much time left. And that if it wasn't for me, he wouldn't be around at all. So, reluctantly, I decide, well, he gave me consent, so. This night, Izuku, is a great night for a bite to drink. Don't you think so, brother? And Izuku would just kind of raise up from the ground, feeling like the, bite mark where, I did, my thing. Of course, with his consent, making sure that he does not become a ghoul. And, well, because of his consent, well, he basically becomes a vampire. Not as strong as me, but, still a vampire. So, yeah. Basically, he has a less potent version of my quirk. Which I basically now refer to my quirk as Hellsing Ultimate. And, Izuku refers to his quirk now as Hellsing. With me, like I said, referring to mine now as Hellsing Ultimate. Izuku actually going even further to refer to his quirk as Hellsing Gonzo. And me referring to mine as Hellsing Ultimate. Because technically, the whole thing, I forget if it was I don't think it was a person, but like maybe a studio named Gonzo that made the 2001 version. So yeah, basically he refers to his as Hellsing Gonzo, and I refer to mine as Hellsing Ultimate. That's basically, that, and also the potency of our quirks is, just a few things that, differentiate our quirks from each other. And so, yeah. Izuku has the same pluses and vices that I do, only even worse because he only got, some of my power, not all of it. He's only like pseudo me. And well, the thing is, we didn't realize that there were people watching this happen. And those people being our other siblings. And well, me basically explaining to Izuku that, we can't let anyone know about this. And basically our other siblings being like, what about us? Like, you're just gonna leave us? Or something like, and what about Izuku's dream to become a hero? Like, is that just gonna be thrown away just because he wanted to live? And well, me just being like, well, yeah, technically he can't be a hero the way this is going. Like, eventually people are gonna figure out about the whole bite mark. I mean, it's not technically ever going to really go away completely. So somebody's eventually going to figure out about what happened. And will eventually trace back, whatever residues left to me. And well, once, that's all, trailed down, well, they're gonna figure out exactly what happened. So, yeah, technically he can't. Yeah, sorry, but he can't. Ever become a hero. And it's all stupid sludge villain plus my fault too now. And even Izuku for being as stupid as he is, charging in, even though that's what a hero should do, but still, it's stupid nonetheless. Izuku, what if I didn't have the ability to do what I did? What if you really were dead? Like, for real dead? Technically, you're living an unlife now, but. I just. I freaking hate this. And, well, Luffy and Ichigo just being like. Like, Ichigo's just, like, really not having this. Like, I mean, their aunts and uncles aren't really going to be all happy about this. Their mother and father are especially not going to be happy about this. And, well, Luffy is just like, having to leave everything. And, well, basically, the last thing that Shanks really said anything to Luffy about before, leaving is, to protect his hat and, someday bring it back to him once he had truly become strong. So, yeah, basically, Luffy does have Shanks' hat at this point. And it's also at this moment where Ichigo decides to just, throw all the shit down and actually truly accept, Zangetsu and everything. At least for now. So he eventually, gets the Bankai, Tensa Zangetsu. And even, the ability Getsuka Tensho. And so, yeah, Ichigo is just now, gotten his Bankai. And as for Naruto and Asta, well, Naruto, well, knows how it feels to be, persecuted for who you are. I mean, considering his quirk isn't really considered all that better than mine. So, yeah, Bakugo's like a real big player in that department. So, he definitely would not, stand for this. And Ichigo, being the one to, protect, he would not stand for it either. And Luffy, big heart, that he has, you know, doofusness that he has, would not stand for it either. And Asta, whatever the hell goal he's striving for right now, he would not stand for it either, just cuz, I guess. Family ties, I guess. And well, Izuku would think that was, real sweet and all, but where's the logic in it? What exactly are they going to do if they're all going to leave? Yeah. And what are they going to do? Not that they're all going to leave, basically. Their lives behind. And, well, I basically would decide, well, if we are indeed going to do this, and we are indeed going to do this, well, we should probably have proper planning. And, well, get on the move on while, we still have daylight. So, yeah, find somewhere so we can safely plan without being heard or seen. Find somewhere that no one would ever look. And basically, everyone's pitching in, sitting at the same time. There's like this warehouse where no one ever visits, off on this, like, abandoned area of, like, the town slash city, like, that's basically destitute. And it's basically surprising that no one's, bulldozed over it yet. I guess it was just forgotten by time. And so, well, they decide to make that their place of residency for the time being. And basically, myself, Izuku, and the others, using our different sets of skills and abilities to make the place, well, livable. Seeing as this will technically be our, current base of operations for whatever we plan to do. And I basically, bring up the whole thing, a name, and I think I get one, that sticks to me. The Brotherhood of A. Seeing as my middle name is literally Alucard, like the no life prince, the bird of Hermes. The bird of Hermes is my name, eating my wings to make me tame. Like, literally, that dude, the literal no life prince, the vampire king, is like my middle name. So, what's the first letter in that person's name? Alucard. So, the Brotherhood of A, since, the first letter is A, as, Alucard. So, yeah, the first letter being A, the Brotherhood of A. And everybody seems to think that's, good enough, for what they, whatever they're planning. That they basically all decide, as long as me and Izuku as well, decide that they will be, and we will be, the Brotherhood of A. And that we will kind of like work in divisions, or classes, so to speak. With each class slash division having, well, a like certain, positions of power within, said divisions. And even a certain pseudo force of power that, keeps everything in check. Like different positions, like for like the different like divisions have like different well, things that they're there for. And well, seeing as there are only, six of us, I just said basically we're only gonna have six divisions. And we're currently in, family bloods, so yeah. Basically six divisions. Six positions of power. Myself holding, first division, being the firstborn. And well, then there's Luffy and Ichigo, which technically Ichigo acts like the more mature out of the two, so he would probably get second division, and Luffy get third division. And the more mature out of Naruto and Asta, well, Naruto may not look it, but he technically is more the more mature out of the two. So Naruto would get, well, seeing as I got first division, Ichigo got, second division, Luffy got third division, Naruto would get fourth division, and Asta would get fifth division, with Izuku getting sixth division. Captains of our own ranks. With the first division being the top of the top, the cream of the crop. And that technically the different divisions would all wear, instead of wearing a specific, gear, they would all wear masks to, tell who was part of a select division. The first division would all wear, bat masks. The second division, would wear cat masks because, well, Yorichi is, one of Ichigo's friends, Yorichi, and she can turn into a cat. So basically, second division would all wear cat masks. And, well, third division would all wear, well, hold my beer, guys, because, I'm thinking like Oni masks, because, the Akuma Akuma no Mai, devil fruits, that's basically what they're called, like in Japanese, like the Akuma Akuma, Akuma Akuma no Mai, basically. So just like Oni masks for well, third division. And fourth division, well, would wear fox masks. And fifth division would wear basically more yokai related, Oni masks. But it would be like Oni mask, but they would seem more yokai related. Like they would still have like a demonness about them, but they would seem a little bit more yokai related in their design. Because technically demons and yokai are really, still two different things. So yeah, they'd be like the Oni masks, but they would seem more yokai related. And well, the sixth division, well, would look to would look to be like, if you guys ever saw that one movie like Nosferatu, with like the guy, like the shadow, like creeping up the stairs, and well, basically whatever the frick, the actual vampire's name was, like the movie Nosferatu. The vampire in that, not exactly looking like your traditional vampire. Those basically be more like that centered vampire masks. Like Division 1 mask would seem like more like, bat slash vampire related masks. And Division 6 mask would just seem more like Orloff, or whatever the hell the name of the vampire in Nosferatu, like the really old vampire movie. Like the one even before, like Dracula vampire movie based masks would be the Division 6 masks. And that's basically how you would tell, well, what division they were from. And also, there would be the kanji for each number on, the top of the mask. Especially to make sure you could tell. And well, each division had their own thing about them, besides, the masks. Sixth Division was mainly, an intelligence group. Intelligence, like kind of like Mayuri's thing mixed with Unohana's thing, intelligence and healing. Like the Department of Development, whatever, like Mayuri was running, and mixed with Unohana's like own healing thing before she got into her thing where she became her Kenpachi self again. Like before all of that, like her healing self, and also some of Mayuri's own like scientific scientist mad scientist stuff, like more or less like a Department of Research slash Department of Healing type thing. you know, they were a lot of that. Basically, Division 6 was a lot of that. Like research slash healing. And general, like, anatomy, slash, well, general, like, research on, anything, that the Brotherhood of A would like to know about at the time. In general, like info broker stuff, like hacker stuff. They were the guys that got in and figured out information. You know, they had the info, they had the healing expertise. those were the guys that had that. It was Division 6. And, the 5th Division, well, was basically anything involving anything, relatively involving, anything considered, magical or anti-magical. Like any sort of umbrage or essence of the sort. So yeah, basically anything specifically involving like magic or anti-magical like abilities or quirks of any sort, or any like creature of that any kind of like nature of magic or anti-magic of the sort, or any of like fantasy or make-believe type sort thing. That was all 5th Division related. And well, as for the 4th Division, they were like the assassin squad. They were, the guys that got in and, well, did their thing, got out. And basically their thing was kill it and then, end it. Like, kill the mofo or mofos and then, leave no trace that they were ever even there alive. Like, or dead or at all. Like, kill them, then erase any trace that they were ever there to begin with. And, even, like, if possible, or if, wanted, from the higher ups or whatever, you know, liquidate their funds and, bring them over to the Brotherhood. If, that was, like, specified in any sort of report for, like, a mission or some sort. Liquidate certain funds, or even to make like certain alliances, with certain, nations, that could indeed help the Brotherhood in the end. So yeah, as you can see, a lot of more of the sneaky sneaky like covert mission type stuff was, Division Force thing, like the 4th Division. Now, as for, Division 3, those were the guys who just, if you wanted somebody to be like your freaking battering ram squad or like your explosive squad, those were your guys. Division 3. They didn't care how much noise they made or if they made any noise at all. They just went there, did the mission, made sure it was done to absolute perfection, and, well, got out. No matter what, no matter what they had to do in the end. And, well, as for Division 2, well, Division 2 involved, well, a lot of, the paranormal aspects, and, well, also in dealing with, just how to aid in, well, such things. Specifications on such things. They were like a paranormal, like, investigation slash, paranormal liquidation type squad. Find whatever paranormal entity and, if you don't have to do so, either, take them to whatever plane of existence they're supposed to go to, or, if, worst comes to worst, freaking kill their asses. That was the entire purpose of Division 2. The 2nd Division. And, so the 1st Division is basically, like if I stated it before, I'll state it again. The cream of the crop, the top of the top, They were technically the top guys, the top men. They had files in on everything and anything and everything you could ever, want to know or hope to know about, the entire Brotherhood of A. Like, they had, like, the original files on everything, anything and everything about the entire organization, everything. Anything and everything. Which copies were made to be given to, said squads about their own, information. But the originals, they were all handled by the First Division. Especially their own, files and, stuff about them. They were basically like the freaking Gorosei from, like, One Piece, like the world government, only not as, corrupt and evil. They were like if the Gorosei were, actual, decent people. And, good and actually were fighting for a good cause, a good purpose. So, like, basically, if, like, the Gorosei were, like, the revolutionaries, like, fuse the Gorosei with the revolutionaries, not necessarily, good, but not necessarily bad either. But also, very influential whenever it comes to certain things. And, word spreads around fast. Well, whenever they get around town. They're the guys, they're the top men. And women. So, yeah, and, well, of any sort of, like, force of order of the sort, well, don't exactly act like they didn't come across any friends of their own across their travels. No, they did. They indeed did. And, well, across those travels, they were basically known as the Neo Police Force. The Neo Police Force, well, they were basically the guys that, well, were the technical law and order of, well, whenever it came to the Brotherhood of A. They're like the council or like the, Central 46, type people. Only not nearly as, bad, whatever perspective you're looking through type people. They're actual decent, human beings. However you want to stretch that. They're actual good, people. And I use that term loosely when describing whenever describing the Neo Police Force. And the thing is, I use that term loosely, for multiple reasons actually, because not only, well, you know, how far can you really say that you can go into, like, certain aspects of certain things before you start to become, known as, nothing but unhuman in the eyes of, like, the majority of people, like, the majority of the populace that, even relatively know about you or don't know about you regardless. And also the fact that, well, while they have their dirty dealings, well, it's not that their dirty dealings are unfounded or that they don't have good reasons for doing so dirty, like, such dirty dealings. And what I'm talking about here is, like, shit like, sabotaging the government, like, manipulating the government to basically look the other way. As well, they do, the necessary evils that they have to do, or like make it possible for the several divisions to do that. They're basically, the people that allow this shit to happen. You know, that basically make it nigh impossible for underground heroes like Aizawa to even relatively get a sniff of any of the members of the Brotherhood. Like, the Neo Police Force basically make it impossible for anyone to actually get a sniff of these people. And even if they do, like, the Neo Police Force make it even harder to actually even catch them or even find out where the hell they are. Or even, like, figure out how to, like, follow their trail once they found where they are currently. So basically, the Neo Police Force are like an invisible shield for like the Brotherhood themselves, like from any sort of like problems with not only the government but like the police force itself, like the regular police force, the heroes, and even villains, anti-villains, anti-heroes, you know, vigilante heroes. Basically, like an invisible shield against all oppositions to their, well, way of doing things. No matter what it takes. And whether this is seen as good or evil, technically, if you look at this from the standpoint of, well, our heroes of this story, and I use that term also very loosely, considering what exactly the Brotherhood are doing, as like their necessary evils. Which first necessary evil is basically rigging the entrance exam to make sure that only the people that they want to get in get in. So yeah, basically rigging the entrance exam of a hero school. No, actually, not just one, but three different hero schools. Not just UA, but also Shiketsu and Kitsubetsu. I think Kitsubetsu is how you pronounce that. Yeah, so not just UA, but Shiketsu and Kitsubetsu as well. All of their entrance exams are rigged by the Brotherhood of A, with the help of the Neo Police Force of the Brotherhood of A. Oh, and by God, do they help in rigging this shit to make it to where the only people that, are able to get in are the ones that, the Brotherhood want to get in. And they even have, like, freaking Izuku, their captain, their top guy of, the 6th Division, get in as a member of UA. Due to some technicalities, including, not just villain points, but, hero points. Involving a certain girl by the name of Ochako, who wouldn't have been put in a certain amount of danger had it not been for a certain amount of rigging on the controls of the zero pointer. It's not like Nesu would purposely try to kill the girl, like maybe like make it look like it was about to happen, but not actually try to kill her. But apparently something about the controls, was bugged out, and well, that basically made it to where Izuku had to save the day. And, get those necessary points in order to get in. So, yeah, basically, there goes the Brotherhood, and they're basically buddies. The good old police force of the Brotherhood of A. Helping them get everything done how they want it to get done. And the only reason why Izuku's even joining UA and basically like that, the only really reason why he's even doing this is, well, as a certain, info broker for, like, information of UA to, well, the Brotherhood. And, there's not just only one info broker. Because, it wasn't just UA's entrance exam that got, rigged. Shiketsu's and Kitsubetsu's also got rigged. And, well, if you're wondering, who got sent to where, as for info brokers for there, well, well, I generally indeed do have to say that basically both members of the 3rd Division, neither of them, the technical captain, which is a good thing. These 3rd Division members being Shanks and Ace, because, well, Shanks saw, well, basically what Luffy was trying to do by, creating the Brotherhood of A with everybody. And so he, decided to have full support as, an inside man. And Ace, seeing as Luffy was his brother, decided to go along with Shanks as a sort of inside man, well, himself. And so they decided that, the best way they could possibly help is as fellow info brokers for, the, Brotherhood. And so, going along with this, they, Ace going to Shiketsu and, well, actually, Shanks going to Shiketsu and Ace going to Kitsubetsu. And basically being, info brokers in a different way than how Izuku is being an info broker. Because basically they, like, camouflage themselves as, like, school staff instead of being an actual student. But considering the UA is, like, the most top priority hero school, like, a student thing would probably be more important there than at either Shiketsu or Kitsubetsu. So yeah, basically, getting their priorities straight. And eventually, after, the whole rigged, well, entrance exam for each school ended and, the exception letters came in, well, it seemed like their plan worked. Everyone who they wanted to get in got in. Everyone who they didn't want to get in didn't get in. And, well, things were falling nicely into place. And soon the quirk apprehension test or assessment test, whatever, that went as planned, basically with not much rigging needed to be done. Seeing as all members of the Brotherhood train like heavily, like insane amounts of training that would make even like the weakest person like a freaking like Rocky Johnson, like the soul, the soul man, Rocky Johnson. And if you know about him, oh my god. So yeah, that kind of training, probably kills someone, but with morale being at an all-time high, and well, Izuku technically being already, in an unlife state, just like his, biggest brother, myself, Tenshiro, also being, unlife, as in, like, the state of the quirk, with the person, being in an unlife state all the time, every time. And, well, yeah, basically, with morale being at an all time high, and, well, just everybody's able to endure the training a lot more than, what they thought they would probably be able to. Like the freaking, Rocky Johnson, the Soul Man Rocky Johnson, like, training regimen. Like, going through, like freaking Adonises. So, yeah. Oh boy. Well, basically, after, everything with the quirk assessment, well, there's the mock battles, which, well, everything is kind of rigged so that, everything would happen how it would happen in canon. Except for, well, basically, with the training regimen that everybody be doing, you know, Izuku would kind of just, like like what Madara did to the Raikage. Like, just, you know, like, like, just freaking, like, knock the shit out of him, just, like, palming the shit, like freaking Zoro. Versus that one guy. Like, palm the shit out of that dude. And just, like, knock him out. Like, yeah. And, just going up the stairs. And, well, kind of just pulling, like, another freaking Rocky Johnson, but triple drop kicking him. Like, right as he's, like, in mid freaking run. Like, just, like, sliding by, like, a little schoolboy slide. And, just right as he is about to turn around, triple drop kick, freaking Soul Man Rocky Johnson, this mofo. You know, and, Ida would just be out, and, just both Bakugo and Ida would be wrapped in the tape. And, Ochako would just, stare in astonishment and wonder, like, at this dude who just basically won the whole thing for them, as he just now, like, taps the bomb, and was like, the heroes have won, relatively fast, actually. Like, are the villains even alive in there? And they just see that apparently, somehow Izuku managed to freaking delete Bakugo's freaking, like, mental state to the point where he passed the fuck out. And, then proceeded to triple dropkick Ida all the way into La La Land. Before, touching the bomb, winning the entire thing without Ochako really being able to do anything. Except for just, try to outrun Ida. Because, she was trying to not, have her ass kicked. Especially with those feet, like, damn engine feet, like, damn. Damn, boy, those feet are thick. Like, those feet are thick with triple C's. And definitely a freaking exclamation mark there. Like, dang. Dang, boy. And then there's the whole thing about the USJ incident. Well, basically, the League of Villains, they decide that, before they do that, they want to call up the Brotherhood. And so they end up, wiretapping into the whole thing with, the Brotherhood through the Neo Police Force. Using, Kirigiri and Dr. Ujiko's collective intelligence in order to be able to accomplish this. However, don't exactly act like this wasn't, the plan from the beginning. And by plan from the beginning, I mean, the Brotherhood's plan to actually let themselves get, hacked into by the League of Villains. Basically, being told that they want to meet with each other. And, well, basically, this person whose entire face is just covered in shadow, whenever, they're, basically FaceTiming each other. Just like that. Basically, just like, and their voice is even distorted, can we, freaking bring others? Or is it, forbidden or some shit? Because, if that is, then I'm not going. Bitch, I'm not going. Who you think you are? And, well, just damn. So the League of Villains say that they are allowed to bring extra members. I mean, because, it would be nice to see the muscle of the group that they're, pairing up with for the whole little invasion of, UA through the USJ whole thing. Party at the USJ. And so basically, whenever, the people, sent, from the Brotherhood of A, get sent over to, the Heroes versus Villains, place. Not Heroes versus Villains. Basically, the villain hideout, the League of Villains. Their little bar that they have. It's basically this person well, basically this person with, basically wearing, a yokai style, freaking demon mask. With the number 5 engraved on the top. Like in kanji. The number 5 on top. But it's like a yokai style demon mask that they're wearing. And they will be just showing up with these other guys, also wearing their respective, own same mask with the same, number, in kanji. However, they would look different from the one in the middle. And apparently, one of those guys, on one of the sides of the original one, had some sort of weird looking dude who didn't have a mask on, but was freaky enough on his own to not really need a mask. And well, yeah. Apparently, this guy who had like the weird looking dude next to him had like a book in his hand and like a pen or pencil. Shigaraki couldn't really tell. And basically, you know, this person who was basically in the middle, you know, them basically being, the leader of the 6th Division, not the 6th Division, the fucking 5th Division, the 5th Division, and basically just being like, so, now that we're here, do I get to know the name of your master? And basically, Shigaraki's about to, like, friggin' debate this shit like it's the frickin', like, presidential, like, frickin', debates. All for One comes online through, like, a TV monitor, and it's like, I guess, and he basically says his true name. Just like, that's just how cocky All for One is. That these guys don't have enough power to actually, deal with him. He literally says his actual real name. Like he is that freaking cocky. And, well, just the guy on one side who has, like, this, demon mofo looking dude next to him. And, he basically has a book in hand with some sort of pencil pen type thing. And, as Shigaraki and Kirigiri are beginning to get, and even Dr. Ujiko are beginning to get a closer look at the book, it says Death Note. And basically the person is like, I am Kira. Or at least one of them. I am the original Kira. And basically Shigaraki, Kirigiri, and even Dr. Ujiko, and even All for One, like especially All for One, they all know who Kira is. And they're basically like, shit. And, well, basically All for One would have said that, but before he could actually finish his sentence, death from heart attack. Yeah, basically, All for One, you probably shouldn't, telling people your actual name who have death notes. Because, Kira, basically just from hearing All for One's, real name, and he's like, oh, that's nice. And he basically just writes it down. 40 seconds later, All for One dies from a heart attack. Nothing specific, no real, like, thing of, like, death, he just writes his name and, just lets the whole death note do the rest. That's his apparent quirk, and Ryuk is, like, a thing that has to do with the death note. And, well, oh boy. Basically, yeah. Kira, also known as, like, Yagami, but they don't know that. And the other guy on the other side of, well, Asta, who's technically there, the captain of the 5th Division. Basically, on the other side of him, on one side is, well, Kira, also known as Light Yagami, and Ryuk, which was the demon-looking guy. And on the other side of Asta is, well, usually they'd probably be fighting each other, like, we are righteous, and, like, trying to, like, kill each other. But now that they are part of the Brotherhood, they are no longer doing that. Basically, this person, well, they are L. Yes. Kira and L are both a part of the Brotherhood and also are both part of the 5th Division. of the Brotherhood. Which is why they're both wearing, like, yokai style demon mask things. With the kanji for basic, 5th division, on the top of the masks. Signifying that they are indeed part of the 5th division of the Brotherhood of A. Which, for a while, had actually been a debate as to whether to give him a position as a member of the 5th Division, or as to give him, like, a position as a member of the Neo Police Force, L. But L, deciding that, it would be nice for once to not have to fight, Light, Kira. And seeing as all the other Kiras are also a part of the 5th Division, yes, I said all of the other Kiras, not just Light, but the other Kiras as well, are also all part of the 5th Division. And basically, by killing off for one, and, basically ransacking the shit out of the place, because, L's got those moves, before Shigaraki can even do anything. Basically, all of them are basically, kick the shit out of him. And, well, basically, the League of Villains just got their pockets ran, the freaking Brotherhood of A just ran their pockets. And smoked them like a pack. And, basically liquidating all of their, funds and everything else about them, as to be absorbed into the Brotherhood of A, And even future members of the League of Villains. Well, seeing as the League of Villains is no longer technically around, because, they got their pockets ran, seriously ran, and smoked like a freaking pack. So, yeah. Basically, people who would be, like, expected to be future members are, well, not exactly future members. And basically, anyone at the time who was a member who, still wanted to be alive would have joined the Brotherhood as a part of whatever division that they felt suited them. Basically, the Neo Police Force and, well, the technical actual boss of the Brotherhood of A being, well, me, Tenshiro, Alucard Midoriya. Basically deciding who went where. So yeah, basically anyone who was still alive at the end, who, didn't want to be, turned into a pack. And, well, even, like, some people who would end up being future members in canon of the League, no longer that, they're not members of, well, the Brotherhood. The Brotherhood ended up picking them up. And so, yeah, well, about the USJ thing. Basically, the whole USJ gets completely, like, they all get their pockets ran and smoked into a pack. I mean, it's like these guys are directly looking for the smoke. And this time, it's not even just the 5th Division. It's like divisions like 2 through 5 all together. Like literally divisions 2 through 5, all of them. Every single last member of divisions 2 through 5 of the Brotherhood of A. All of them just out there running the pockets of not only the students but the teachers and just the heroes. Even whenever they get there, they get their pockets ran and just smoked into a pack. Like these guys, divisions 2 through 5, they just want all the damn smoke and more. They are literal, like, individual smoke collectors of the gods themselves. Like, holy shit. So, yeah, well, whenever it came to the Nomu and All Might, well, that's whenever basically the different captains, 2 through freaking 5, would just activate their abilities. You know, Ichigo going into freaking Tensuzangetsu. Freaking Luffy going into Gear 3 of his Gomu Gomu no power. Like, the late, like, power inside of his Gomu Gomu no. This hockey thing. His, like, Gear 3 of it. He would go into his Gear 3. And, well, freaking 4th Division freaking captain, being Naruto, he would go all the way up into, like, the freaking 3rd tail of his power. Just so that he didn't lose his shit completely. And, well, basically the 5th Division captain, being Asta, well, he would, like, access his demon powers. Because Asta does have demon powers. He would access his demon powers. His demon form thing. From his, grimoire power. He would access the demon power that he has from within it. And they would all just, go at him. Like, got him. And, well, they would all just be trailblazing. And, smoking them like a pack. But then it would just get to the point where All Might and Endeavor would just be there, and they would be like, "Okay, we got to do something. We got to do like our signature moves," and like basically doing their signature moves at the same time. Basically, you know, All Might revving up like a Detroit Smash, and basically Endeavor being like Final Flash, and basically them sending out their shit at the same time, and basically all of the captains like 2 through freaking 5 using all of their attacks. Yeah, basically creating an enormous explosion in which, under the cover of all the smoke, the different division captains and all of their men and women are able to escape. Given a long enough time to, well, do so. Under the cover of all the smoke, and eventually, whenever it eventually turns time, the cover of the night. The cover of Nightfall. Because, it took like a hell of a long time for it to get to that point. Where All Might and Endeavor were just like, F this shit. Like, Detroit Smash, Final Flash. Like, that shit. Damn Endeavor ripping off Vegeta. Anyways. Damn, dude, you ripping off a move that Trunks straight up thought Vegeta was gonna use to frickin' destroy the planet? Like, damn. Damn, boy, damn. And so, yeah, just that being an overall success in the minds of, like, the different captains and, well, the overall people. Basically, the different captains, even like 1 through 6, even though the first division and the sixth division weren't even there. But, in the overall minds of captains 1 through 6 and the individual members of the divisions, an overall success. And even in the, like the overall minds of the different members of the Neo Police Force, an overall success. And yet I forgot to mention who was the head of, well, the Neo Police Force. Well, it just so happens that, during their travels, well, they had met some interesting people. Some people that call themselves the Fullbrings, or Fullbringers, and also some cat lady, and, well, this dude wearing, hat and clogs, basically. This guy with the hat and clogs, basically, known as damn, I forgot his freaking. Well, I think I remember now. Basically, this guy, wearing the hat and clogs and calling himself Kisuke Urahara, but they could just call him Urahara. And well, this girl apparently, she turns basically into her human form, and she is freaking butt ass naked. And she gets her clothes from Urahara. Apparently, he had her clothes, and basically, she gets her clothes on, you know, and she basically says that she is known as the goddess of the Flash, you know, Yorichi. And well, the Fullbringers with them, saying all their names, and that well, one of these said, Fullbringers, you know, being, said, well, captain of the Neo Police Force. Basically, myself trusting in this person with, well, the Neo Police Force, the entirety of it. This person being Tsukishima. Yes, that one. Tsukishima. And, well, me basically telling, well, Urahara that, well, he could basically be like an assistant, like, a teacher of sorts to help, Tsukishima with any, you know, ironing of any kinks, basically helping with any problems that might come along, with working the job. And well, if Yorichi wanted to help too, she could. But otherwise, go on, get. And seeing as Yorichi really didn't like being kicked out of her own, space with her own friend Urahara, well, she decided that she would, help help Urahara, help Urahara and is well, helping with, thing with, helping, Tsukishima, do his job as the leader of the Neo Police Force of the Brotherhood of A. With, Kisuke basically being known as, well, the Neo Police Force's, officer's assistant. Because, well, basically, Tsukishima is the Neo Police Force officer. Like the Neo Police Force's commanding officer. And, Kisuke is basically the Neo Police Force's commanding officer's assistant. And, well, that making Yorichi the Neo Police Force's commanding officer's second assistant. So, yeah, technically, Tsukishima has two assistants. Basically, as help, to do his job as the commanding officer of the Neo Police Force of the Brotherhood of A. And then he has his fellow Fullbringers, well, and even, the Visors, because, apparently Kisuke and Yorichi, apparently have some friends known as the Visors. And, well, that, if they had to come along, and, the Fullbringers also had to come along, that they could become, like, founding members of the Neo Police Force, like, the top of the top, the cream of the crop. So both the Visors and the Fullbringers are both, founding, top of the top, cream of the crop, members, like the Celestial Dragons or the Yonko, top of the top, cream of the crop members of said police force, and everyone else is just below them in rank, really. As, a part of the Neo Police Force. And as for all of that, well, at the time, hearing about, well, basically after, UA getting freaking owned by, just now starting to reveal themselves, the Brotherhood of A, through the actions of their, entire, divisions 2 through 5, just absolutely destroying freaking not even just the students, not even just the teachers and the students, but teachers, students, and heroes alike, just freaking destroying them. Like smoking them like a damn pack. Like, Snoop Dogg, playing Moses, being like, whenever I was high up on the mountain, God reveals to me the truth of the earth, but he never mentioned a fat ass Pop Smurf. That shit. And well, after that, well, UA wanting to maintain a strong front, decides to, host the UA Sports Festival anyways. Regardless, they're still going to do it. But, don't indeed think that, they didn't really, receive the message. They indeed did, receive the message loud and clear that the Brotherhood, they're just now starting and they aren't going to stop anytime soon. What they just now started. All that war on, all that shit. Their brethren were shunned from the world because of what they are and what they now had become. So they decided to join together and become an even stronger force to show the world that were so cold to their brethren the true meaning of absolute justice and absolute pain and suffering for those that oppose them. So basically, all because of the way that, people like me and eventually people like Izuku would be treated, actually he's already being treated bad, so it would just be being treated worse because now he was like a vampire. So yeah, basically, eventually, shunned from the light of, a place's warmth, a home's warmth for so long, they would see that place destroyed in order to consume its warmth for their own. It brings a whole new meaning to that. Or whatever I just said. Basically, they weren't getting any warmth, and, they were tired of it, tired of this shit, and, well, their, fellow brethren didn't really seem like they wanted any part of, not helping with their, in particular, brethren's predicament. So, yeah. They're also tired of it. And, well, you know, basically forming the Brotherhood of A, you know, literally destroying in order to consume the warmth that was, taken from them or not even given to them at all at first, consuming its warmth as their own or for their own. You know, whenever you do someone or someone's so down dirty, and even down dirtier afterwards, after the fact, eventually it's gonna come back to bite you in the ass. It's called karma, bitches. A special kind of bad karma. Basically sending on the message to, well, UA and basically all of, Japan. Basically that, yeah. The Brotherhood of A were just now, starting, putting the pieces on the board, and, they were playing to win. They were playing to win. And they weren't going to have any other way. And besides, why move the pieces whenever you can move the board? It's basically the Brotherhood's whole entire plan, Why just win by moving pieces? To, take away the king of the other party or parties. Why not move the entire board and just have all the shit, all the shit that you ever want or ever wanted in life? Why just move the pieces? Why not move the board? Why not have the world under your banner? Why not have all the warmth you could ever want? So that you never have to sleep a cold night ever again. The warmth, the love, the admiration that you've always wanted but could never receive in the old world. And now that you can move the board and will move the board, you will receive that warmth. It will be there for you forever and always. So yeah, that's basically the game plan for the Brotherhood of A. And they haven't even revealed who A is. They're still keeping that shit, in shadows, like how Slade was in the Teen Titans. Keeping all that shit in shadows. The identity of their true ruler. The one known as A. Keeping that identity thing, full secretive. No matter how hard the heroes try to look, no matter what the government tries to do, basically, they could even, put, the Neo Police Force could even, put in, puppet governments if they wanted to. People in power, have them basically do whatever they wanted, basically turning them into, puppet governments. Without them even knowing that that's what they were basically becoming. Basically completely not important, not even, necessary, because they weren't even governments anymore. They weren't even a government body or bodies. They were basically just now puppet governments for the Neo Police Force and just overall the Brotherhood of A to take control over without, really all that much of a fight, if any, to begin with. So yeah, basically the government has now been seized. The entire government of Japan has just been seized. Without them even knowing it. And so, just basically, the Brotherhood is just playing the long haul, the long game. Just to see, what starts to break first. What will fall into chaos first? What will fall into disorder first? Who is the first one to crack? Who will be the first one to crack, or the first ones to, you know, keel over, the first ones to fold underneath the pressure? So yeah, basically that's all, the Brotherhood are really doing is, playing the long haul and, strategic pieces, across the board. Seeing just how agonizingly painful this can be for, like, everybody involved that's not their friend, that's their enemy, or at least that they feel they're his enemy. Just how agonizingly painful that they can make it for them without them even noticing that they're doing that. And eventually becoming so powerful as to, well, eventually go as far as to overthrow the Emperor. But that's for a much later date. The Brotherhood of A, they're mostly looking to overthrow the government and overall government bodies. Basically turning them into puppet governments without them even noticing that that's what's happening. Right underneath their noses. That's basically, the current goal, to keep on puppet governing, everything behind the scenes, while making everything as painful as possible without anyone even noticing that that's happening. Just so that it can hurt all the more whenever everything is eventually revealed. And eventually, the Brotherhood can go even, further, a step further, and eventually take the seat of the Emperor, and hell, maybe even make some damn, like, freaking revolutionary status bullshit. Like, pull some of that shit, like, revolution. You know, maybe even not an emperor, maybe even something even better than emperor. Like a true king, the vampire king. Yes, the age of Vlad the Impaler begins again. Oh my. Oh my. Yes, big dreams, big ambitions for the protagonists of our story. Here. A dream, an ambition of revolution. Soon, slowly, yet, you know, coming ever so closer, that day of reckoning for all who oppose. Their true order, their true peace. Underneath the rule of the Vampire King. The same people that saw them as, well, less than human, subhuman trash, will be the same people that would be begging for forgiveness. And then, slowly after, realizing the true error of their ways. And seeing the true world as it will have become. The world, the age of the Vampire King. Tenshiro Alucard Midoriya, otherwise known for now as A. Well, guys, hope you like that. I mean, damn. Like, Jesus. Oh boy. Well, Alan's the end of justice because Dark Shadow Maverick's OET out. Here, like, favorite, subscribe, click that little bell. I bounce like a squidge on my blue suede shoes. Yeet, no yeet. Deuces. 230 subscriber special. Bitches. Peace.